Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. In the previous class, we start another chapter, International Standards. Then international standards, we discussed that there are two types of international standards, accounting standards and auditing standards. In accounting standards, we have IFRS, International Financial Reporting Standard, IAS, GAAP, and in auditing standard we have ISAs and IAPS. Then we discussed about the main goals of standards. Then after that we discussed about International Financial Reporting Standard and the importance of International Financial Reporting Standard. Today we are going to discuss International Accounting Standards. Before International Financial Reporting Standards, the standards used all over the world, these were International Accounting Standards, IAS. The International Accounting Standards were an older set of standards stating how particular types of transactions and other events should be reflected in financial statements. Basically, International Financial Reporting Standards and International Accounting Standards, these are standards which tells you how different transactions and events will be stated in the financial statements. Like in financial statements, if there are fixed assets, so how we will present fixed assets. If there are loans, so mortgage loans, so how mortgage loan will be presented in the financial statement, like this. In the past, International Accounting Standards were issued by the Board of International Accounting Standards Committee. And who issued International Accounting Standards? International Accounting Standard Committee. Since 2001, the new set of standards has been known as the International Financial Reporting Standard and has been issued by International Accounting Standard Board. And since 2001, IAS is replaced by IFRS. And who issued these standards? International Accounting Standard Board. Then come to the next, that is GAAP, Generally Accepted Accounting Principles. These are also standards which are used all over the world. Generally accepted accounting principles are common set of accounting principles, standards, and procedures that companies must follow when they compile their financial statements. So these are also principles and standards and procedures that companies will use all over the world. GAAP is a combination of authoritative standards set by policy boards. You will not violate. Authoritative standards you cannot violate. And the commonly accepted ways of recording and reporting accounting information. And there are some ways in which you will record and you will report accounting information. GAAP improves the clarity of communication of financial information. So, what is the benefit of GAAP? It improves the clarity of communication of financial information. Now, these financial information, how it will be reported, how it will be communicated, it will bring clarity in the communication and financial information, communication of financial information. So GAAP, it brings clarity in the communication of financial information. All over the world, it will be the same. So each and every person, he can get the same meaning from these financial information. The phrase generally accepted accounting principles or GAAP consists of three important set of rules. There are three important set of rules regarding the GAAP, the basic accounting principles and guidelines, the detailed rules and standards issued by FASB, and its predecessors, the Accounting Principle Board. Then the detailed rules and standards, and these detailed rules and standards, these are issued by FASB, Financial Accounting Standard Board, and Accounting Principle Board. So they are issuing these these detailed rules and standards, the generally accepted industry practices, and then they issued the generally accepted industry practices. So these are three set of rules developed by generally accepted accounting principles. Here you can't understand this thing. When we will go in detail of this thing, then you will understand, inshallah, in 7th semester in the subject of I think that is financial statement analysis. There is detail regarding this thing, then there you will get something about this. So these were the three standards: International Financial Reporting Standards, International Accounting Standards, and generally accepted accounting principles regarding accounting and finance. Now come to international standards on auditing. International standards on auditing are issued by International Auditing Practices Committee. Who issued these international standards of accounting? International Auditing Practice Committee. The IAPC, International Auditing Practice Committee, is a standing committee of the Council of International Federation of Accountants. Basically, the main organization is International Federation of Accountants. And of these, they made a committee, and the name of this committee is International Accounting Practice Committee. Sorry, International Auditing Practice Committee, which was formed in 1977 and is based in New York. This International Federation of Accountants, it was developed in 1977 and its head office is in New York. IFAC has more than 150 member bodies. They have 150 member bodies representing over 2 million accountants. There are 2 million accountants in more than 100 countries. And these accountants, they are working in more than 100 countries. The IAPC issued standards and statements on auditing and related services. And what is their work? This committee, IAPC, International Auditing Practice Committee, they have a responsibility to regarding the auditing, that issued standard. They will make standards and statements on auditing and related services in order to improve the degree of uniformity of auditing practice and related services throughout the world. And this is because of the fact that they are trying to bring uniformity in audit work all over the world. So what is their responsibility? Their responsibility is to issue standards and statements on auditing and related services. What? IAPC, their responsibility is to issue standards and statements on auditing and related services all over the world. Now then, international standards on auditing IAPC guidance falls into two categories. There are two categories in which their guidance falls. The first one is International Standards on Auditing. ISAS contains basic principles and essential procedures identified in bold type black lettering together with the related guidance in the form of explanatory and other materials in plain type including appendixes. What does it mean? Basically, it means that their standards, it is in bold type black lettering in which the essential procedures are discussed. In bold, they are writing the essential procedures. And then, with the related guidance in the form of explanatory and other material, that is in plain. Then in plain, they uh, they wrote explanations of all these black letterings. How? Look at this. Now see, this is bold, this thing, this item. And then up to 120, Framework of International Standards of Accounting. And here it is mentioned in plain that in which there is explanation. Okay, see one other. 200 to 299, General Principles and Responsibilities regarding audit. Now see, this is bold. And with this bold, there are points. 200, 210, 220, 230, 240. So in these, then 200 is regarding objective and general principles governing an audit of financial statements. Then 210, terms of audit engagement. Then in 220, quality control for audit work. Then in 230, how documentation will be made. Then in 240, the auditor's responsibility to consider fraud and error in an audit of financial statements. So these are bold general principles and audit responsibilities and then in plain they discussed each and every item and they give their explanations. Don't think that this is explanation. This is explanation regarding this item, that what are the objectives and general principles governing an audit of financial statement. What are the terms of audit engagements? What about the quality control for audit work? Then about the documentation, how documentation will be made, which documents will be prepared. Then the auditor's responsibility to consider fraud and error in audit of financial statements. So there are bold letters and there are plain letters. In plain letters there are explanations and in bold letters there are the main points. So see here, ISAS contain basic principles and essential procedures identified in bold type black lettering together with the related guidance in the form of explanatory and other materials, that is in plain type, including appendixes. So these are complete guidelines regarding international standards of auditing, regarding the audit. The text of a whole standard is considered in order to understand and apply the basic principles and essential procedures. When you want to apply an auditing standards, you will consider bold as well as the plain, that is the explanations. Now see here, now this bold, risk assessment and response to assessed risk. Then this is bold, means this section 300 to 499, this is regarding risk assessment and response to assessed risk. Then in 300 there is planning, knowledge of the business, then understanding the entity and its environment and assessing the risk of material misstatement. Then 320 is materiality in the identification and evaluation of misstatement. This is a complete book of standards regarding the audit. Then 500 to 599, it is regarding audit evidence. 500 is audit evidence. What is audit evidence? Then it is 501, it is audit evidence, additional consideration for specific items. For each and every item there will be some specifications given what you will do. And then external confirmation, 505 is regarding external confirmations. So from 500 to 599 there are lots of items explained in detail. Then 600 to 699, then 700 to 799. So all these are basically international accounting standards. Then international auditing practice statements, the second part of IAPC guidelines. In considering an audit in accordance with ISAS, International Standard of Auditing, the auditor is also aware and considered international auditing practice statements applicable to the audit engagement. These are some statements, international auditing practice statements. IAPS provide practical assistance to auditor in implementing standards and promote good practice. Now keep in mind that IAPC with standards, they are also providing you practical guideline, practical assistance. They are also providing you practical assistance to auditors in implementing standards, that how you will implement these standards and promote a good practice. So this is another guidance from the International Standard of Auditing, or you can say IAPC, International Auditing Practice Committee, that they are giving you practical guidance, practical assistance in implementing standards and promote good practice. They are not intended to have the authority of standards. Now, what is the advantage of international auditing standards? So we discussed about the International Auditing Practice Committee guidelines falls into two categories. We discussed about two categories. The first category is ISAS. This is basically the standards developed by International Auditing Practice Committee. In these standards, they discussed that one is the bold type black lettering, and there is a plain type lettering. In the black type, they discuss the main item, and in the plain, they give explanations of these items, just like I told you. And then international auditing practice statements, these are statements, and these statements are helping the auditors. They are giving assistance to auditors in implementing standards, that how these standards will be implemented and promote good practice. And how you will promote good practice. Advantage of international auditing standards. So the first advantage is if all over the world there will be same standards, so it will increase confidence in non-domestic investment, because all over the world auditing standards are same. So for non-domestic investment, for foreign investment, you will get confidence. The investors will get confidence. Why? All over the world the way rules are same, so easily you can invest, you can trust the auditors all over the world. Simply, if same rules are, if a rule is in Afghanistan, so you know about that rule. Now you want to invest your money in a foreign country, so you know about that country, that the same rules which are uh, which were in Afghanistan, these rules are in foreign countries, so there will be no problem to you. Consistent. If same rules all over the world, international investors comprehend means understand, financial statement from different countries. So in different countries, there are different companies, and different companies, they have different financial statements, so you can get the same meaning from these financial statements. So international investors comprehend means understand financial statement from different countries. They can easily understand these financial statements. High quality non-national standards encourage better quality, less political influence. So the quality, if all over the world same standards are used, so the quality, you will get better quality, the quality will be good all over the world, same quality, and there will be less political influence, and nobody can influence the companies. So there will be what? Less political influence. Then these are different international standards on auditing. So I discussed about this, that which standard is about which thing. Inshallah, in the next class, then we will discuss about the audit process model. Have a good time.